Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rookie Reporters pod. Today, we are turning up the volume and the voltage as we dive into a world of 350 kilowatts of pure electric power. If you've ever thought electric racing was just quiet cars driving in circles, think again. We are talking about 200 miles per hour street fights, high voltage warfare, and enough drama to make a soap opera look tame. It's time for Formula E. Today, we're breaking down the absolute chaos of the Mexico City E-Prix, but we're also zooming out and looking at the bigger picture. We're talking about the 2024-2025 season, the Gen 3 Evo cars, and the highly competitive driver lineup. From veteran blunders to rookie breakthroughs, we're covering it all. And to help me navigate the strategy, the technical shifts, and the intense pressure, I've got two absolutely brilliant guests with me who live for Formula E. So please welcome our electric experts, Alice and Imogen. How are you two doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, good to be on here.
I'm good, thank you too. I'm very excited to
Amazing.
be here.
So, to kick things off, I just want to ask you both, why do you love Formula E and what is it about this specific championship that just keeps you hooked?
Honestly, I just love it because it's really unpredictable and it's still a relatively new series. 12th, I think it's 12th season. So, like, anything can happen. All the teams are still developing. So it's like different. The drivers, you've got like quite a few ex Formula One talent in there as well, which just makes it like something you want to watch because you followed those drivers before. Um, it's like speed and it's new and it's like trying to make its way. And then also like I've got quite a few local links to the team, so I guess it's just like a bit of local pride as well.
For me, honestly, it's because one of the things close to my heart is like advocating for the environment and stuff like that. And obviously, with Formula E, there's less fossil fuels emitted into the environment, but also it's actually really fun to watch. It's not all about the environmental difference that it makes, it's still pure racing. And there are way more battles than you would expect, like in comparison to something like Formula One, too.
Yeah, it's definitely very different compared to Formula One. And a lot of people think that because it's electric and because it's very environmentally friendly, that it's going to be really quiet or really boring. And I think you two especially know that it's definitely not that. You are
Yeah.
our sort of go-to specialist right now. But what do you guys think certifies you to be the experts for the Rookie Reporters pod?
Um, Mostly like our passion for it, like actually wanting to cover it, and also like just being fans of it. I guess I don't know like many members actually watch it. I want to say quite a few do, but like don't talk about it. But I think like watching the races helps with understanding strategy and like knowing the grid. Because if you have like a better knowledge of the drivers, then obviously you're going to have like write better or cover it and better than you would if you like just didn't have a clue.
100%.
Yeah. Honestly, I've been watching this for a while now, surprisingly. I started watching in 2024, I think, towards the end. And honestly, I just fell in love with it. My dad made me a motorsport fan of it. So it's all down to him and his knowledge of it and telling me all these fun facts while the race is going on.
Yeah, a lot of people I know have really gotten into it because they've been forced by their dads or their brothers or their
Yes.
sisters or
Yeah.
something like that. So it's very interesting to see, but everyone does have a different path into watching a sport. So it could be maybe a headline they saw, a race they watched, a driver caught their eye. So do you guys remember the moment that got you into Formula E? And if you do, can you just tell us what it was?
Oh yeah, there's kind of like two things. I remember my attention got brought to it. It was probably end of 2024 last year, before the start of the new season, when they announced it was going to be free to watch on like ITV and ITVX. So obviously, because Formula One, like most motorsports are behind the thing, but seeing that you're going to be able to watch it for free, I was like, oh, like I could watch this in my room. I didn't have to like go downstairs and steal the skybox to watch it. So that, and then one of my mates, the one I know where this is a massive Taylor Barnard fan, and obviously he didn't shut up about this guy, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out who this guy is because obviously I know him from like Formula Two or Formula Three, like British junior but he's like Formula E, he's racing for McLaren, so I was like, fine, let me just watch it. So this guy's on about this guy was actually any good, and he was a pretty good driver. He is a pretty good driver, and I guess like watching that race just got me hooked. So I was like, wait, this actually is good. Like this is pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, I have to say it's pretty similar to Imogen saying about how it is streaming now on ITV. Like my dad saw that and was like, "We're watching this." So that's kind of when I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm introduced to it." But then I think just the first race that I watched, I think it was Berlin, one of the Berlin races, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is so good!" Like instantly hooked, and I wasn't turning back.
And now, moving to the present, we had the Mexico City E-Prix. It was quite chaotic and it was quite mad. And I think the biggest storyline to come out of that weekend was Nick Cassidy. He started 13th and gave Citroën their first ever win in their second race. And if you look at some other series like Formula One, you'd be like, what do you mean it's their second race and they just won? But it really shows you how crazy Formula E can be. Now, do you think that this win was down to Cassidy and his racing and his legendary skill, or do you think it's down to the Citroen team and if they're the sort of package to beat this season?
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell if they'll be the package to like beat, but I think Cassidy's skill and experience had quite a big impact in it. Like the car is strong, obviously, it's got to be strong for that, but his like timing, like the way he sorry, I've gone my way. The way he like drove and kept calm under the pressure from it and like makes it stand out. So I want to say more his skill than the car.
To be honest, I think it's a combination of both. Obviously, Nick Cassidy is a great driver. He was runner-up in 2023 for that championship to Jake Dennis. He's just a well-rounded driver. He's been in since 2020, 2021, since around then. And he's got all the skill, he's got all the knowledge. He knows what he's doing with the car, but also the team have to work together, and it's got to be a whole team effort to actually bring home a win. So all the strategy and everything behind the scenes is obviously really important too.
And with two podiums in two races, Cassidy is already leading the championship, although it is just by 4 points. Do you guys think this early consistency is a sign of a pretty dominant title run, or is it too early and too close for anyone to stay comfortable at the top?
Definitely think it's too early and too close for anyone to stay dominant at the top. Like one, because it's only a small margin, like one mistake and that lead is gone. Like one bit of a tough weekend and he could be like third in the championship, so it's gone. But hopefully he can have a good season and it will stay as a sign of dominance. Like if he wins the next race, his podium again next year, then definitely I think then you say that's his dominance. He's going to hopefully win it. But at the moment, it's too early to tell.
I would agree with Imogen that anything can happen in Formula E. If you watch it, you will know that. Honestly, if you don't, you really need to do watch it because it's so unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. But I think the past three champions who won in Mexico went like the people who won in Mexico went on to win the championship. So it is possible that he might continue that streak, but I do believe it's too early to tell. But with podiums and his consistency, if he can keep that up, 100%, I would put my money on him.
And he really did have a dream weekend in Mexico, but there were definitely a few drivers who did not have a dream weekend, including Sebastian Buemi. He broke his 3 year drought to grab a pole position in Mexico City. And it's just an incredible milestone because it was his 17th career pole. But his dream start didn't even make it past the first corner, and he handed the lead away, basically. So what do you guys think happened there? Was it just a sort of small one-off mistake under pressure, or are we sort of starting to see a little bit of rust from him, who is kind of a veteran of the sport?
I will just clarify, I wasn't able to fully watch the race because of scheduling issues. I've only seen the highlights, but I have like seen the start.
Yeah.
So completely, if I say something, let's just move on. But I think definitely the pressure of it, like first pole in a while, it's nerve wracking. Mexico still the second race of the season. Everyone wants the form and prove that they could be the champion this year. Like, he has the pace, obviously, he forced it, but kind of felt like he was forcing an opportunity that just wasn't meant to happen. So a bit of a I would say rookie mistake, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with all the pressure that he's under. I mean, 3 years is a long time to go without being on the front row. So it's obviously the mental aspect of it, but also we do know that Remy is a great driver. He's been here for the 12 seasons that have been going on for Formula E, and he's been champion. He's been runner-up in the championships. So he has got what it takes. I just think because he's not been in that situation for a while, it just like put him off balance a bit. And he was so, or at least in my opinion, I believe he was so focused on trying to maintain the lead that he just completely blanked out for the first turn.
And we have to talk about Dan Tixon because his start to the 25-26 season, it's been a nightmare. It's been horrible. And he didn't finish in Sao Paulo, he didn't finish in Mexico City, and he's very clearly reaching a breaking point. He said some strong words over the radio, and I won't be repeating them on here, but anyone who's listening, search them up. But 18 plus, beware.
Yeah.
Um, he sort of suggested that the current level of driving is like rental carts instead of a big world championship, and the stewarding just isn't really hitting the mark. So, do you guys think he has a point about the stewarding being dreadful and the racing being childish, or was he just overly angry after a very tough start to the season?
I think he has a point, but not like completely. Like, there's some bits where you could be like, yeah, like the stewarding has been inconsistent across like the seasons or just like across separate races. But then call it other drivers childish like racing. I don't think that they're all professional racing drivers. They've all proved themselves to be that. I don't think any of them are racing like children. I think also a bit of it is just in the moment, quite like emotional, obviously high stakes. You're just like, I think you get quite like emotional in those bits, and you just want to like anger out straight away because you're like, this isn't fair on me. Like, you just don't want to put yourself in that situation, so that the reaction you have is going to seem like quite not PG.
Yeah, I agree with all like the adrenaline, and you're just in the moment, and then you say something as silly as that, and you might not 100% mean it. And you see that across everything in sports. But he does have a slight point about the stewarding, because I mean, you've gone for 12 seasons, you should surely have a decent ground to stand on for whether you're going to give someone a penalty or not and what incidents are classed as. But then also we have the problem of the grey areas for racing incidents. Was it really like someone trying to take someone out, or did someone genuinely just make a mistake? So,
Yeah, I think he definitely does have a point, I agree, but the way he said it is just a
mm,
bit insane. And in lots of other sports, I know you two are Formula One fans as well. There's lots of controversy around stewarding and
yeah.
penalties and things like that. So it's a very interesting thing that he's brought up. Um,
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, and now we cannot talk about a new season in anything without focusing on the amazing rookies. This year we have a brilliant intake of rookies, including Felipe Drugovich, who comes in as an F2 champion and previous Formula One reserve driver. We have Pepe Marti, who is stepping up as one of the most exciting young talents, and Zane Maloney, the boy from Barbados, who is leading the charge for his team's project.
Editor's note: Maloney is in his second season of Formula 2. Anyway, enjoy the rest of the podcast.
And looking at this very specific group of three, who do you think is the most promising for a future world title? And which one of them do you think is going to find themselves on a podium the quickest?
For me, I think I have a little bit of a bias, which I shouldn't have as a journalist, but for Pepe Marti, because I've just followed his career for like quite a while now. So I think I definitely, even out of those three, following all of them, I think Pepe Marti is going to be the first to the championship, probably in a few seasons' time. So I hope he stays in it and gets to win his championship for it. But for the podium, I actually think Zane Maloney, as you said, he's leading the charge of his team, like leading the project. So I just think as he is like leading the team, whereas other drivers probably aren't as much leading the team, I think he has a higher chance of getting the podium just because of the team backing him. Yeah, I think Pepe Marti for the title, but Zane Maloney for a podium, and I think it will be this year.
I keep agreeing with you, Imogen, but I have to say that I do believe Pepe Marti will be the one to go on and win a championship, and I do actually think he'll be the first to get a podium. I mean, he was in F2 last year with Red Bull. He's obviously got some strong links and he's got the experience in single seaters, but this is a whole different world and he's adapted very quickly to it. But anything can happen.
Yeah, I can tell that you guys are Pepe Marti fans just by the way you're speaking about him. And I know he has just joined Formula E, but Alice, you mentioned his ties to Red Bull and his Formula 2 days. Do you think he'll stay in Formula E and work towards becoming a champion there? Or do you think he'll take up a Formula One opportunity if that comes about?
If he had the opportunity, you would switch. Like he would switch to Formula One, I think. But then being in Red Bull and the amount of like junior drivers they have and the way they work, even if he's still tied to them, now he's moved to Formula E. I don't think he'll get the opportunity to race the Formula One car like as a full time seat. However, like potentially to do what Nick De Vries does, where he races in Formula E, but he's actually a McLaren development and reserve. So I think something like that potentially keep him in the Formula One world in that way. But in a full time seat, I just don't see it happening just because of the structure of Red Bull.
Yeah, I agree. The structure of Red Bull is solely basically just Max Verstappen, which, I mean, it's very obvious that it is, and no one can deny that. But I doubt he'll get the opportunity to have a seat in Formula One, but I don't think he would take it anyway, to be honest. If him being in Formula E is actually paying off and he's getting the points, he's up in the championship and he's battling at the front.
Yeah, and whenever we talk about motorsport or racing, and especially Formula E, as it's quite a different championship compared to everything else, the stars of the show are, of course, the cars. They can't be anything else. It's all about cars, it's racing.
Yeah.
And we've moved into a new sort of era with the Gen 3 Evo cars, and they are absolute monsters. They go from 0 to 60 in 1.82 seconds, which is nearly 30% faster than a current Formula One car. I think that's insane. But the whole sort of DNA of the car has shifted. So could you two sort of break down with your technical minds the features of the car and how they compare to previous ones?
Yeah, so they have improved like traction and drivability, which means like steering is a bit better. The like cornering of the cars should be better, and they're made to work more with the driver, so the driver has more like you feel like they have more control. They have better regen efficiency as well. So like in Formula One, because most people know, like they have to recharge their batteries. It's similar in Formula E when they go into like attack mode and stuff. So that is like still like well not still the same. That is better than it was. So they should be able to recharge batteries quicker, which means hopefully we see like a faster race pace overall. And these cars have been made to reward confidence, which is something that was said by a Formula E representative. Like drivers can push harder earlier without destroying their own race. So if they're pushing on the first lap, they're less likely to have it affect them at the last lap. But yeah.
Yeah, another thing is the tires. They now have improved grip, so it's around 5 to 10%. So that's obviously going to help with the cornering and your battles and not going off the track because you don't want to get track limits. Obviously now you've got all-wheel drive. You use that in your quali duels for your race start and in your attack mode, which will obviously give you so much more of a benefit. I think it's 50 kilowatts that you get in attack mode too. So it's very interesting to see how Formula E as a series has evolved technically too.
Yeah, and we've spoken a lot about the present, we've spoken a lot about Mexico City, but as we know, the grid is already moving towards Florida. Round three is the Miami E-Prix on January the 31st, and this year we're moving to a brand new venue, the Miami International Autodrome around the Hard Rock Stadium. So cool. This is a home race for Andretti, DS Penske, and Cupra, with the move from Homestead Speedway to a more sort of F1 style circuit. Which of those three home teams are under the most pressure to deliver a podium in front of their home US fans?
I think I'd have to say Andretti, just because obviously home race, you said, but also it's quite a well-known name in motorsport in general. Like surname is tried to do in Formula E. Like the people that created Andretti are known. Like most motorsport fans are going to know who they are. Obviously, the other teams are well-established teams, but in America, I feel like Andretti is a motorsport name that is followed massively. So I think just that pressure means they need to deliver.
Yeah, as Imogen just said, Andretti is a household name and everyone in America knows them. So there's obviously a lot of pressure that comes with it, and they are experienced. I mean, they won the championship with Jake Dennis in 2023. So it's not like they don't have the tools to go and win. So I think they're definitely under the most pressure to perform.
And looking ahead at the rest of the 25-26 schedule, we've got some massive double headers coming up in Jeddah, Berlin, Monaco, which is amazing, just to name a few. And we have some very promising locations like China, Japan, and London. In a season this long, which is the longest in the history of the sport, do you think the championship will be won by the driver or car with the most raw speed? Or do you just think it's a sort of survival game for whoever makes the least mistakes in these high intensity races?
Yeah, I think it'll have to be a mix of like the drivers that are constantly topping, that time keeps constantly getting up. Also, like with whilst doing that, not making mistakes. Because if you're not making mistakes, but you're still finishing down like towards the back of the grid, you could make no mistakes all season. But if you don't actually have the pace as well and get up the grid to get the points, obviously you're not going to win the championship. So I think you need to be fast. You definitely need to be one of the fastest drivers, but you also need to not make mistakes. So, yeah.
Yeah. Obviously all the cars are like really similar, so it's not all down to just the raw speed of all of the cars across the grid, and it's more down to each driver. They've got to make less mistakes. They've got to be on the ball, just ready to go. But then again, there's other things outside of a driver's control, like their strategy if it falls the wrong way, or if there's an unlucky safety car or something like that. Like Rowlands, I think, ended up taking attack mode in Mexico, but then he lost it because of the safety car for Nick De Vries when he went into the runoff. But then also sometimes you do get damage on the car if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. So you can only control your own actions, really. Anything can happen, as I said.
And Alice, you've mentioned Oliver Rowland, which is amazing because my next question is about his run to the title. It was so special last season, and he basically just took control of the championship and didn't let go. He clinched the trophy with two races to spare. And looking at that title charge, which specific moment stood out to you guys the most from his amazing season?
Yeah, I cannot think of the race, which specific race it was, but I can like, remember watching it. I can't remember the track, but it's like the race where he wasn't the race where he wasn't actually winning, but he was still taking the podium. The drivers that were beating him were obviously trying to chase him, but he wasn't trying to win that race. He was actually trying to just get the most points he knew he could at that point. So when he was still like chasing the win, but without doing it in a way where he was going to make a mistake and let's say end up in a barrier, which obviously wouldn't have helped him in any way. So yeah.
I was going to say that the race two for Jeddah, when he had the 6 second lead over Taylor Barnard, I was just like, oh my God, this never happens in Formula E. What is going on? Usually it's so tight just throughout the entire race, and especially at the checkered flag. The timing between all the cars is so like short, but for 6 seconds, that's just truly dominant.
And his title run it was of course a massive storyline, but the entire 2024-25 season, it felt like a constant highlight reel. Like every single moment was just amazing. We had some new winners, we had underdog moments, and we were just speechless, I think. So looking back, was there sort of a biggest surprise of the year for you two? And do you guys have a favorite moment from that season that you would still go back and watch?
Yeah, surprises I think actually was some of McLaren's races. Obviously, first of all, them announcing they weren't going to be a team in the season. That was also a bit of a shock. That was a standout moment, but not as in the one we're going to celebrate. But um, yeah, I think just McLaren. I think Taylor Barnard had some good races and stuff. But my favourite moment doesn't actually come from a race. It is when they put a load of celebrities in the cars around Miami. So you had like Tom Felton is the one I can remember massively, but seeing all of like that, I just think it was so cool. It was definitely something I had so much joy like in following. So not actually the race, but some of the off-track activities.
Honestly, I'm a big Taylor Barnard fan, so hate me all you want, but I'm gonna say that his race in Jeddah when he managed to take pole for it, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. I was like, surely he's gonna win. He did not, and that was quite disappointing. But the fact that he's now the youngest pole sitter is incredible.
And Imogen, you've mentioned McLaren leaving. What do you guys think about their decision to move away from the series and focus on other racing?
Yeah, I think obviously they're a well-established team across all motorsports. I think they know what they're doing. But I think walking away from Formula E, where it's an upcoming series, like they were supporting some of their talent, like Taylor Barnard also came through their like development. I think, I mean, as fans, I think it actually might have pushed quite a few fans away from Formula E because obviously a lot of people were in it for them, not in it, but they were following it because of the McLaren name. And now they're a bit like, oh, none of these teams are actually like, well, Formula One teams in a way, because Formula One brings in like the fans, whereas the teams now it's kind of like, oh, Mahindra. Like I mentioned that team to people and they're like, not heard of it, and I'm like, okay, well, you should. But I think they know what they're doing, and moving into endurance may end up being like the best opportunity if they end up getting more out of it, I guess.
I understand their move. They want to win the Triple Crown. Like literally any motorsports team, that's going to be their huge goal that they're going to want to get and have a legacy for that. But then again, Formula E, going back to the environment and stuff, that develops really quickly. And I think for the technology of McLaren as a whole to improve when you have new regulations in other series where it becomes more environmentally friendly, that not having the data for the Formula E is going to impact them quite significantly in how to catch up and adapt. So,
And I feel like I know the answer to this question based on what you guys have been talking about, but if you had to pick one standout driver from the 2024-25 season that is not Oliver Rowland, who would it be?
Taylor Barnard.
Yeah.
so Taylor,
And
100%,
given that
without a doubt.
Yeah, I
given
think
that we've covered why and well,
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that was gonna be you guys' answer. Is there a sort of specific reason you guys are fans of him or think he's standout, or is it just that he genuinely did just such an amazing job?
I think his young age like makes him stand out as well. And also him being a McLaren driver, like obviously like you just kind of know him, but yeah, his age I think makes it as well. Like him still being quite young in terms of Formula E, I think that makes him stand out.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, the fact that he was with McLaren, I already like knew of him, but to then actually have the chance to see him and see what he can do and then be blown away by him, I was just like, oh my God, this kid is amazing.
So, before we wrap up with our predictions, which I'll ask you guys very soon, I want to take a quick second to talk about something very special that the Rookie Reporters have been working on behind the scenes. So, if you're a big reader, or honestly, if you just have a massive pile of sport biographies in your room that you're trying to get through, you need to check out the Rookie Reporters bookmarks. These are 100% handmade by the Rookie Reporters team, and we have designed for a range of sports such as Formula One, feeder series of F1, and football. The best part is, if you have a specific F1 driver that you love and we haven't made them yet, you can order a custom bookmark. You just pick your athlete, we'll hand make it for you, and we'll have it in the post as and on its way to you within a week, which is amazing. It's the perfect way to represent your favorite driver, even though you're away from the screen and you're away from the racetrack. You might be tucked up in bed, reading a book, turn the page, Lando Norris is there. We love it. Every single penny from these sales goes directly back to funding the Rookie Reporters. It helps us keep the mics on, keep the site running, and keeps content coming your way. You can find the full collection and the custom order form over at therookiereporters.com. Now, Imogen and Alice, we don't actually offer Formula E bookmarks just yet, but if we did start making them, which driver on the current grid would you two love to see get their own bookmark first?
We've not mentioned him yet today, but I would say Pascal. Well, Pascal, I'm gonna butcher his last name. Wehrlein. That's not mine. Because his helmet, I like the colours he's always had. His branding is so recognisable, and I just think it would look really cool as a bookmark.
Honestly, got to go back to Taylor Barnard. He's just my favourite, so I'm gonna say him.
I wonder who you want to win a title, Alice. I
Yeah.
wonder. So I'm going to put you two on the spot for some very quick fire predictions. So this has been a pretty unpredictable season, but I want to know if you guys can see into the future. So I'm going to ask you a question and just very quickly give me an answer. No overthinking, just whatever comes to your mind first. So who will take the win at the Miami E-Prix?
You know what? I think Mitch Evans not been really represented yet this season.
I'm going to hold out my delusion and sound like a Ferrari fan and say it's going to be Taylor's turn because he needs to get a win.
There we go. Who is lifting the Drivers' World Championship trophy? Alice, you can't say Taylor Barnard, okay?
I know.
Sorry, 1 second. My brother is just messaged me. I'm sorry. That's not
Okay.
important.
We can crop it out.
That was not important. Nick Cassidy.
Oliver Rowland, I think, but then I think Jake Dennis will be close behind.
And finally, which garage is taking home the team's championship?
Andretti.
I'm going to say Porsche because Pascal and Nico have actually been pretty consistent already this year, and I think that they could keep that up.
So let's hope that you guys' predictions come true. Let's hope you guys have a sort of special power of seeing into the future of Formula E. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. Imogen, Alice, thank you both so much for coming on and sharing your expertise. I think we've all definitely got a much better handle on the Formula E chaos, and I'm definitely ready for the lights to go out in Miami. For everyone listening, if you want to see those handmade bookmarks we talked about, request a custom driver, or read our incredible articles that Imogen and Alice also help write, head to therookiereporters.com, which is our website, and make sure you're following us on all of our socials at The Rookie Reporters so you don't miss a thing. I'm your host, Annie Michele. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Rookie Reporters pod. Don't forget to hit follow so you never miss another episode, and we will see you all next time. Bye!